Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible. Before we start the next conversation, I want to invite you to check out my amazing book, The Gift Inside, a powerful guide for healing your body, mind, and soul. Reclaim your strengths and awaken your true potential. Whether you are navigating heartbreak or simply seeking deeper fulfillment, this book offers the tools to turn your struggles into triumphs. It is time to unlock the gift within you. Available now on Amazon, or you can check it out on my website www.irinashehovtsov.com. Hello and welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today we have a special guest, Moira Mills. She is a single mother by choice, lifelong unschooler and full-time road schooling mom who helps parents and entrepreneurs design lives and businesses that actually reflect who they are. She is the founder of Soul Path Branding, where she blends human design and real-life experience to support people in aligning with their true path. From growing up off-grid in Alaska to raising her son on the road, her story is all about breaking the mold and helping others do the same. Welcome, Moira. It is a pleasure to be here. To have you.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yes, so please share with us, why did you choose to be a single mother, and how that decision kind of shaped everything that happened afterwards?
Well, I got out of a relationship that I had been in for a few years when I was 32, and I decided that it was time to take a break from the relationship aspect of my life, but I wasn't ready to put on hold having kids. So I decided, I think that for me, these two things need to be separate. It's not saying that I don't want a partner at some point. I just, at that time, needed a break, and I just felt called to do one portion of that dynamic at a time.
All right. Awesome. How did that decision kind of influence your life?
You know what? It really has influenced my life. I was actually just thinking of this story I'd forgotten about, but I've told several times. I studied in Australia years ago for the work that I did before, and it's a 17-hour flight from LA to Sydney. And I remember I was totally prepared for 17 hours sitting on a seat, and I had everything I needed, and it felt like the flight went really quickly. I mean, it was long, but it wasn't really uncomfortable. And then a few months later, I was taking a flight from New York to Baltimore, which is only like a 45-minute flight. And we got stuck on the tarmac for 3 hours. And I remember I felt like I was pulling my hair out. So even though it was so much shorter, I had this expectation that it was going to be this quick, short flight. And when it wasn't, it was agonizing. I just thought that's so fascinating because it really just comes down to my expectations. I always expected, in making the choice to become a single parent, I expected that I was going to have, I expected kind of what the role was going to look like and how much work that was going to be. So it took a lot of the stress away when I felt like I'm the only one here to do it. It's like, no, but I intentionally designed it that way. So I just feel like that sometimes our perspective shift can really, really shift how we're experiencing something in real time. Does that make sense?
Totally. I think it's all about the expectations, what we envision. Like the first time when you were going to Australia, you were like ready for it. You were excited. So that time didn't even feel like anything. And here in this short Baltimore flight, it's like 3 hours. I know how it can be when you're sitting there and you're not moving. You're in this space. You cannot get out. You
can't get out. You can stand up and that's about it. And it's like, oh my gosh, I think I might legit go crazy.
Yeah, totally. What is it like road schooling as a solo parent?
It's so much fun, really. And one of the things I love about being a solo parent is that while I do negotiate with my son and he is very opinionated, it's just the two of us. So I don't have to, we kind of get into our flow with just the two of us and not to have to negotiate or have someone to travel with that travels very different than we do. and we've kind of come up with our rhythm. It's really a lot of fun. There is nothing that we love more than exploring a new city together, like finding a little downtown area, walking around, I'm always on the lookout for a good coffee. We love little thrift shops or just seeing what's on the high street. And it's like, I feel like we're both really at our best in those moments of exploring. And I love that he loves it as much as I do.
Whoa, awesome. When you were preparing to become a solo parent, what is one of the expectations that, let's say, you saw and it turned out to be something different? Was there anything like that?
That's a really good question. I think I have to think on that for a minute. Well, it's interesting because we never know, right? Like who the child is going to be. I do remember having this moment where I was about 8 months pregnant. So it was becoming very real. And I thought, oh my gosh, I could have twins. I mean, I knew I wasn't at the time, but I had this moment of, oh my gosh, I could have done all of this and then had twins. What would I do if that happened? I didn't even consider that as a possibility. I mean, honestly, I just kind of entered the whole thing with kind of a bit of blind faith that we'll figure it out as the time comes. I can't overthink the details because if I do, I will stress myself out. But I was thank goodness I'm having one child.
Yes, that would be interesting.
Or triplets. I think I had a friend that had triplets at the time, and I just remember being like, wow, I don't even know how to wrap my brain around that.
Yeah, totally. What have been the hardest parts of your journey as a solo parent?
So this does seem like it has gotten more challenging. Balancing work time and really being present for him, owning my own business. It's not like I get to leave work at the office. So how to really create space to be present one-on-one with him, but also work. He also has no experience of me working kind of the typical 9-to-5 life. He doesn't have an experience of me going to the office. So sometimes I kind of feel like it would be good for him to kind of see what that would be like. I was like, dude, you have no idea. Waking up in the morning to head off to school, you have no idea what it's like to have a parent that's, gone all day. So that's been an interesting thing to navigate. And I do think that, through the different life stages for him, it's easier or harder at times. And I do just try to remember this too shall pass. If it's a challenging time, everything is a phase, we'll move out of it. It's all going to be okay.
Totally. I love it. What about what's the most beautiful or rewarding part?
The most rewarding part is being able to watch him explore the world around him and watch him be able to blossom into this amazing, I mean, gosh, we're pushing 10. So I'm like, wow, we're really entering those preteen years. But to watch him form who he is as an individual is so incredibly rewarding, and being able to watch him explore, which he does really like, and meet new people. We went out to dinner last night with some people, and, half of the conversation I sat back as they had their own conversation about when in the Navy, when the planes land on the aircraft carriers, how there's a band that stops the plane. That's how they don't just fly into the ocean. And they were all talking the stuff that I did not understand in the slightest, but I was able to just sit back and watch them do their thing.
Wow, incredible. How has human design helped you as a mom and as an entrepreneur?
Human design is the best tool that I've found, and specifically sidereal. So it just pulls from a different version of astrology. Sidereal pulls on the exact placement of everything in the sky, the moment of birth. Tropical, which we typically use in the Western world, is more based on the symbolic positions of those from a couple thousand years ago. But sidereal human design has been incredibly valuable because we make decisions differently. There's a lot in our charts that are very similar. But he has something called emotional authority, and I have sacral authority. So I can make a very quick decision about something that I'm interested in, and he needs a little bit more time. So just that little shift has really transformed our dynamic where I can offer an option and I know that the height of his excitement might not be the best moment to make a decision on how we move forward. So I will have him sleep on it. I'll have him, just spend a couple days. And then when he feels a little more neutral and his emotions are a little more even, then allowing him then to make a decision. And that's not the way that I work. So understanding how to be present for his process while still respecting my own process has been, I think, the best tool. We always hear that people are different from us, but it's really hard to conceptualize like what that means in life. And for me, sidereal human design has given a blueprint where I can see on paper, these are the ways we're different. This is how we process the world differently. And that's been incredible.
And why did you decide to explore in that direction? What caused you to seek out human design?
So my type is a generator in human design. And one of the things that we're designed to do, and I look back on my life and I see how it's happened time and time again, is that I just kind of live my life, and at some point things are presented to me. Either I run into someone who talks about something that piques my interest, or I see something and I think, oh, I need to go research that. And it was the case of I met someone who was talking about human design, and it made instant sense to me. Now, I started with the tropical version, but when I look at the system of it, I've always loved systems thinking, like living dynamic systems and how to understand how that works. That's the work from kind of my previous life was as a rolfer. And that's looking at the human body as this living dynamic system. So if we're trying to address something in the system, we can't just fixate on where the pain is. So say there's neck tension or lower back pain. It's really important to step back and look at the whole system. And human design was like the mental version of that. Like, let's look at the system of the human being, who they are as a unique person in the larger system of the family or the community. And that thinking just really appeals to me. So I started diving in for myself. Then I made the shift to sidereal. I started really seeing how it was helping us in our life. And generally, kind of my general pattern is that I will see something, I will love it, I'll research it, and then I can't stop talking about it because I just think that everybody will love it. Just try it, just look into it. It's going to change your life. So then I'm on that, that path at this point.
Yeah, I think it makes life more interesting as we get to learn different tools about ourselves. We get to learn and to know, like you said, we are these holistic beings. We have systems. It's not beneficial if we just look at the neck tension and like put a band-aid on it, but then something else somewhere is happening that we don't see. That's not very obvious.
Right. So instead of thinking about controlling behavior, let's look at where is that even coming from and how can we understand it and see it differently. I love it. I can talk about it literally all day.
What was an unexpected thing you discovered about yourself through human design?
Trusting myself. So finding out that I was sacral authority, because so often I would know what I thought about something. I'd be presented with an idea and I would know what I thought about it, but then I would question myself and I'd loop in my head about kind of the shoulds that I had, and maybe I needed to think about it this way and that way. And then inevitably, I would circle back to my first instinct. So in finding out that my authority was sacral, it was like I just get to stop all of that looping and mental gymnastics, and I just get to go with my first gut instinct, which over 40 plus years, that's where I find myself anyway. And so to trust that has been really validating. It's like my body was talking to me the whole time. And so to go like, oh, right, like I can listen to that. I don't have to listen to the world telling me that I should be a certain way. I shouldn't, I'm not logical in that way. And I don't need to be. That's not what I'm here to do.
I love it. I think there is power in being different. We didn't come here to be like everybody else. We bring our own unique set of gifts and talents.
Yes.
And It doesn't have to look like somebody else's idea of what it is. But listening to yourself, I think, is so powerful, because oftentimes we seek answers or confirmations from outside, externally. Meanwhile, we always have that innate knowing if we quiet ourselves enough to listen.
Yes. Yes. And I think everybody is so unique. We all have like a very unique way of being and a reason for being here. And my greatest hope is that we can all really embrace that and embrace that in ourselves and embrace that in other people, to allow that to just happen more and more and get rid of all of these shoulds.
Yes, love it. Thank you.
Yes.
What kind of advice would you give to single parents who are just stepping onto the journey? And you can share from your personal experience, maybe what worked in your life.
So I would say the world conditions us, right? That like there's a right way and a wrong way. Like it just seems to exist around us, whether we want to take it on or not. There's like this is the way life is supposed to look like. And I think that pressure as a single parent can be really suffocating. Like, well, I'm supposed to be all of these roles for my child. And it's a lot. And I think that the more that we can detox that conditioning of like, it has to look this way, the more we can be available for really being present in what is and being able to move forward from that place. So I think that detoxing and like recognizing where we feel like but it has to be this way, this thing has to stay, and being able to dig into that a little bit. And not that it needs to even change, but to at least open up the possibility of evaluating it and letting it dissipate if that's not a great fit.
Totally. You're so right. When I became a single parent, I was looking for what normal looked like. And everywhere I looked, there was people together, at least on outside, they appeared happy. Family, husband, wife, and kids. And what I've discovered throughout my journey, that we get to define what normal is, and it doesn't have to be like somebody else's.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So, thank you. What do you think is the most important trait to instill in a child?
One of the things that I've always known, I love very rural areas and I love very urban areas. I'm personally not a fan of the suburban, kind of the middle ground. I think that it's really important to explore different cultures and to meet different people and to try on different perspectives. I think that we don't do nearly enough trying on someone else's experience, and maybe we don't understand it. Maybe we would do it a different way, but I think there's so much beauty in being able to to recognize someone else as separate and be able to be available for really seeing them for who they are. And I think that that's one of my favorite parts about travel, is that even here within the US, there's a lot of diversity among the states. You know, going from New York down to Florida, we've spent most of our time on the east side of the country, but Oklahoma is very different from Texas, is very different from Missouri. And you have, like, one of our first experiences is barbecue. Barbecue is huge in the US, and it's very diverse through the different states, and everyone has their own flavor on it. So it's being able to go to the different states and try on the different interpretations of that specific meal and see how it's been influenced. And I think that that's really what I want him to have the ability to do, is be open. We can talk about being open to other people, but we also have to practice it some. We can't just talk about it in theory. We have to actually live it.
Yes. And I love that, you have an experiential education, not just classroom idea and learning about theories or history through books. And you get to actually explore and go to places and feel the culture and feel the different experiences like barbecue or anything like that. And I think it's so much better because he gets to experience the world in real life, not just like how the textbook says it is, but what it really is like right now, today. And having that exposure allows you to be more centered and allows you to, like you said, to relate to other people with compassion and not without judgment, because seeing how this person interacts in this situation, having that social ability to experience that, I think it's amazing.
Yes. Yes, and I want to see more of it in the world. So they say we can't change other people, we can only change ourselves. So I think it's a great starting point to be the change that we want to see and create that in our children's lives.
Totally. What is a non-negotiable in your life day to day that allows you to maintain your sanity and your overall well-being?
A non-negotiable?
Yes.
Finding good, healthy food and water. Water has actually been a big one for me. I don't drink city water. I don't like treated water. I want spring water. I feel like an exorbitant amount of time in driving around and finding natural springs. I can always find filtered water. There's, several supermarkets have that, but I love finding natural springs. I want water that's coming out of the earth straight. So there's that, and also just finding healthy food. We do, rely on some processed stuff, but I really do try to get as much, wherever we're traveling, as much local, fresh food as possible. And I feel like I put a lot more time than I would like to into that whole process, but it's worth it. And I would say that is really my main non-negotiables. It keeps us in better moods and maintaining our health so we're not getting sick, and it's worth it long run, but it does take a bit more time than I would like.
So awesome. What was the best place you visited so far?
Well, there's lots. I can't wait to get my son. We've only traveled in the US, but I did a lot of traveling in Europe and Australia. I would love to get him back to Australia. So there's a lot of places outside of the US that I'm really excited to show him. I was born in Alaska. He has not even been back to Alaska. But in just the last 2 years, we are really fond of Charleston, South Carolina. We love Jacksonville, Florida. We also love Charlotte, North Carolina. And I would say those are like our top 3. But every place that we go, there's a couple places we've been that we are not interested in going back. But for the most part, there's something that we connect to in each place. And so it's nice to, even if we just stop back through for a day or two on our way somewhere else, to be like, go find that coffee shop that I loved, or go check out that view that we loved. And I do think that, through every place, there's always something that is worth. And we keep thinking we're going to travel enough that we find a place that is like, yes, this is our home base. Like when we're stopped traveling, we're going to be there full time and it's going to be amazing. And we haven't found that place yet. I can't do the summer in the South. It gets way too hot and humid. I can't do the winter in the North. It gets way too snowy and cold. So I don't know where we'll land.
Cool. How many years have you been traveling?
I think we started 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, but we've done it full time for 2 years, like no stop, no real home base, other than a couple storage units at opposite sides of the country. So full time for 2 years.
What has been the difficult part of this journey?
Scheduling and navigating where we're going to go. My son, I think, is very clear that he thinks that things just miraculously happen and our schedule just gets made in like a red carpet in front of him. And there are a lot of hours that I put into that he has a lot of input in if we go through a city that he thinks like, I want to come back here. This is a cool place. So I make a list of that, and then I spend a lot of time figuring out our routes and dates and organizing things, which it's worth it. But again, we'd be spending those hours doing other things, scheduling life in one place. So it's just redirected in a different way, but it's not a small piece of it.
No, I think it's pretty cool because you get the excitement of going to a place when you're doing all that planning, and then when you're there, you have this beautiful masterpiece that everything falls into place because you spend the time getting ready.
Yes. And also, I think it's fantastic. One of my favorite things for him is that learning adaptability, because inevitably something doesn't quite go as planned. Like just something. There's always something that doesn't go as planned. So I love how he becomes very comfortable with being adaptable to those changing plans. I think it's a really important life skill to have.
It's unpredictable, different things can happen, and being able to be open and flexible, I think that's the name of the game.
Yes, agreed.
Awesome. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
Well, I would say that one thing that I do offer people is pulling their unique sidereal chart. There's a lot of places to pull human design charts online, but 99% of them are all pulling from tropical. So people maybe have pulled their chart and have a certain understanding of what their type is and details. But what I do is I offer pulling the sidereal version, and I do what I call a 5-minute soul read. And the website is 5minutesoulread.com. You enter your information. It's based on same thing as astrology, time of birth, location, and date. And I send out a free 5-minute recording of this is who you're here on this planet to be. This is why your soul is here. So I do offer that for free to people. I do full readings, but that's my free offering because I want people to remember that they are beautifully unique and here for a reason.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. So if people would like to connect and learn more about you, where would they go?
They can go to they can go to moiramills.com. That is kind of where I continue building that website, but that's where it starts. I also write on Substack a lot. So that's also Substack/Moira Mills. So that's where I kind of see that as my therapy. I get my ideas out in writing there.
Awesome. Cool. We will include everything in episode notes. It's been a pleasure to have you. And thank you for the work you are doing and such an incredible lifestyle and creating your own normal in this thing called life. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.